Welcome to today's deep dive.
Oh, great to be here.
We're diving into the life of Hamza ibn AbdulMuttalib,
Oh,
really fascinating figure from early Islam.
absolutely.
We've got Dr. Omar Suleiman's lecture to guide us.
Okay.
And I think we'll quickly see Hamza's story goes way beyond just like
Uh-huh.
a brave warrior, a martyr.
Yeah, for sure. I think Hamza's impact is way bigger than just his martyrdom at the Battle of Uhud.
Right.
Like, his life really changed the course of early Islam
Yeah.
in ways people don't always think about.
Okay, so where do we even start with a figure like this? I mean,
Yeah.
this nickname, Asadullah, the Lion of Allah, that's got to be
Yeah.
a good place, right? What makes that so fitting?
I mean, his name, Hamza, itself means lion feasting on prey.
Wow.
It's like foreshadowing,
Yeah.
built right in. And he really did live up to that. Warrior, expert hunter, archer. I mean,
Almost like it wasn't just like a cool nickname, it was
Yeah.
part of him.
it was his destiny, yeah. Some scholars even think if he'd lived longer, he might have been caliph.
A caliph. Seriously.
That's the kind of respect he had, especially among the Sahaba.
The companions of the Prophet Muhammad, right?
Exactly. But it wasn't just strength with Hamza. There were sources pointing to his wisdom, judgment too.
So caliph material, maybe?
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, so we can't ignore the obvious here. Hamza's relationship with the Prophet Muhammad, uncle, nephew, but
More like brothers, really.
what makes you say that?
They were close in age, same wet nurse even. The way bonded from infancy.
So that adds a whole other layer to their story, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Speaking of complex, though, it's kind of surprising that Hamza took his time to become Muslim, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Dr. Suleiman mentions this. Hamza was off hunting a lot.
So missing out on all the,
The buzz in Mecca, yeah. All the religious back and forth. He wasn't focused on that at all.
not exactly a scholar, huh?
Not at first. In fact, he even drank alcohol before it was forbidden in Islam. Different priorities.
So this is a guy living his life, not looking for religion.
Seems like it.
But then we have Abu Jahl, huge opponent of Islam, persecuting Muslims, even insulting the Prophet.
Right.
What was it about this incident that just set Hamza off?
I think it was the combination, The persecution was already bad, but then a direct insult to someone so close to him.
Like a brother.
Yeah, exactly. Triggered that protective instinct times 10.
So walk us through this conversion scene. It's pretty dramatic, right?
Oh, yeah. So picture this. Hamza comes back to Mecca from a hunting trip.
Unaware of what's been happening.
Totally. And a servant tells him about Abu Jahl. He gets furious.
Like really mad.
Oh, yeah. Goes straight to the Kaaba where Abu Jahl's hanging out.
Bold move. What happens then?
Doesn't say a word, just whacks him with his bow.
Whoa. So was that the conversion moment or was it more gradual?
It's hard to say, really. He might not have grasped everything about Islam right then, but he made his allegiance public. No going back.
So powerful. You almost have to wonder, did Abu Jahl accidentally strengthen Islam by pushing Hamza too far?
It's an interesting thought. His actions definitely shifted things in Mecca.
In what way?
Well, now the Quraysh, they were the main tribe opposing Islam.
Yeah.
They had Hamza to deal with, one of the strongest guys around, fiercely protecting the Prophet.
Oops.
Kinda, yeah. Even the Quran seems to reflect this shift. There's a verse about patience, good deeds, leading enemies to become allies.
You think that's about Hamza?
It's thought to be connected, yeah. So it's not just personal, it's affecting the whole community, even the scripture itself.
Wow. A single event changing the course of history.
Amazing, isn't it?
So from uninterested to defender of the faith, Hamza's journey is full of twists and turns.
Absolutely. Personal relationships, choices, even seemingly bad things, they all weave together into this bigger story.
And Hamza's warrior spirit doesn't fade with his new faith.
No, not at all.
He becomes this dedicated student, protector, advisor in Medina.
It's a classic transformation story, in a way.
Absolutely. And we're just getting started. Next up, we'll dive into his leadership in Medina.
Can't wait.
It's a whole new chapter.
Really is. Medina's where we see him really step up as a leader. He's the first general of Islam, leading expeditions, carrying the banner.
The banner, that's a big deal, right? Symbol of authority.
Huge. And even before the big battle of Badr, he's leading raids. Like, there's one against a Quraysh caravan, Abu Jahl's leading it.
So facing his old enemy again.
Exactly. It ends peacefully, but it shows you Hamza's not messing around. He's strategic, but fearless.
For those who might not remember all the details, can you give us the rundown on the Battle of Badr? Why was it so important?
Sure. Badr, 624 CE, First major clash between the Muslims and the Quraysh.
High stakes.
Oh, yeah. Quraysh want to wipe out this new Muslim community. They've got way more men. But Hamza, he's ready to fight. He's got this ostrich feather on his helmet.
What's that about?
It's a challenge, a taunt. I'm here, come get me. He's one of the first to strike, takes down a guy who's trying to mock the Muslims.
So living up to the lion nickname.
You could say that. There are these accounts of him fighting with 2 swords at once.
Is that real or just legend?
Might be exaggerated, but it gets the point across. This guy was a force to be reckoned with.
Total badass.
Basically.
Yeah.
But Badr, as big a win as it was, it sets up Uhud. And that one's a lot tougher.
Yeah, Uhud has that, like, tragic feeling around it.
Definitely. The Quraysh, they want revenge after Badr, especially Hind bint Utbah.
She had a personal grudge, didn't she?
Big time. Hamza had killed her father at Badr. She's whipping up the Quraysh, promising rewards for whoever takes Hamza down.
So he's a marked man. Did he know that going in?
Hard to say for sure, but he doesn't back down. Accounts describe him killing tons of enemy soldiers.
Still that fearless warrior.
To the end. But here's where things go wrong. Muslims are about to win, but some archers disobey orders, leave their position.
Opening up a weakness.
And Hind has hired this Abyssinian spearman, Washi, just to kill Hamza. He's waiting for his chance.
This is getting tense.
Hamza's armor shifts, there's a gap, and Washi takes the shot. Spear pierces Hamza, that's it.
I hate this part of the story.
It's rough. And of course, Hind gets her revenge, mutilates his body.
Awful. How did the prophet take the news? This was his, like, brother we're talking about.
They say it was like no other grief he ever showed. Intense weeping, sorrow, but admiration too. There's even this moment where he keeps Safiya, Hamza's sister, from seeing the body.
Protecting her from that horror.
Exactly. And Medina, the whole city is just devastated. People wailing, showing their love for Hamza, their shared grief with the prophet.
It's like Hamza's loss was a wound on the whole community.
Exactly. The prophet even said Hamza had no one to cry for him, so people went outside his house just wailing, showing their respect for both of them.
It's interesting. This actually shapes Islamic tradition, all right?
Yeah, this is part of why loud wailing is discouraged. It was just too much, too overwhelming for everyone.
Powerful stuff. Even Hamza's burial, it's got this special feeling to it.
The prophet, he uses the best cloth they have to shroud the body, even shares it with another martyr when there's not enough. Leads the prayer with extra takbirat.
Wait, takbirat, for people who don't know, what's that about?
So, takbirat, that's saying Allahu Akbar, God is great, part of Islamic prayer. And at funerals, you say a certain number. For Hamza, they did more. It's an honor, showing how much they valued him.
So, trying to find ways to honor him, even in death.
Absolutely. And even though what happened was so brutal, the prophet forbids any retaliation, no mutilating the enemy dead.
Restraint, mercy, even in that moment.
Powerful, right?
Yeah.
There's this story. A man needs a shroud for his son. The prophet gives him half of Hamza's.
Wow.
Sharing even in death.
It's about unity, sacrifice. Hamza's story is woven into everything about early Islam. His strength, how he defended the faith. It's all there.
Yeah, you can't separate them.
And it doesn't end there.
Yeah.
Washi, Hind, the ones who killed him, they actually become Muslims. You're kidding. What happened there? How does the community even process that?
That's what's so amazing about this story. It's about forgiveness, redemption, even in the face of unimaginable loss. We'll get into that next. It's a whole other layer of complexity.
I mean, come on. How do those responsible for something so brutal find their way to Islam?
Well, it really shows you something about forgiveness in Islam, you know?
Yeah.
Like a deep kind of forgiveness. Both Washi, he was obviously eaten up by guilt.
Makes sense.
And Hind, seeing the prophet's compassion, it seems to have really changed her. They both became Muslim.
So, totally different paths to the same destination, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Washi, he couldn't live with what he'd done. He actually went to the prophet begging for forgiveness.
Oh.
The prophet forgave him. Just like that.
Wow. I mean, talk about mercy, right?
Total mercy. And Washi, he wanted to make things right, fought bravely in later battles. He even used the same spear, the one that killed Hamza, to kill Musaylima.
Musaylima, that was the
false prophet, yeah.
Right. So, like, redeeming himself through action.
Trying to, yeah. It's a powerful story.
In hating. From hating Hamza so much to becoming Muslim, that's a huge shift.
It seems like the prophet's forgiveness, even after what she did, it really got to her.
Changed her whole outlook.
Completely. She becomes known for being devout, doing good deeds. It's like seeing that kind of compassion can shake you to your core.
Makes you rethink everything. It's like anyone can change, right? Even after doing awful
That's
things.
a core idea in Islam. Repentance, acceptance, back into the community.
Beautiful, really. So Hamza's legacy, does it go beyond these individual stories? Does his memory live on in other ways?
Oh, for sure. There's this story. A man asks the prophet what to name his son,
Okay.
and the prophet right away says, Hamza, just like that.
So still an inspiration even after death.
Absolutely. Strength, courage, faith. That's what Hamza's name represents.
Powerful stuff.
But it's more than that, right? It's about loyalty, sacrifice, the ability to forgive and be forgiven.
That's what sticks with me. So as we wrap up this deep dive on Hamza ibn AbdulMuttalib, what's the biggest takeaway for you?
Hmm. For me, it's that there are different ways to be a hero. Hamza on the battlefield, that's obvious.
Sure.
But his loyalty to the prophet, protecting those early Muslims, that's heroic too. And then the forgiveness, both sides of it.
Right.
That's a powerful lesson. Even with all the tragedy, there's still hope, redemption.
I love that. Hamza's life, it shows us we can rise above, find meaning even when things are tough. Courage, compassion, the power of faith to change people's hearts, it's all there.
And to everyone listening, we got to ask,
Yeah.
what part of Hamza's journey really speaks to you? How does it inspire your own life?
That's worth thinking about. Thanks for joining us on this incredible deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.